Good morning. Welcome to the New Church channel, and welcome to today's morning devotional worship. And if you're watching this at a time other than morning, I hope you're having a good day so far. This is part of a series of morning chapels or devotionals that will be happening Monday through Friday, I believe is the plan. We just kicked this off yesterday, so things may adjust as we go forward. Anyway, I'm glad that you are all here. Let's begin by clearing our minds and inviting the Lord into our mental and emotional space. And I'm going to do that by saying the Lord's Prayer. And you're welcome to join me silently or out loud, depending upon where you are and how you feel. Lord, hear a prayer that you taught. Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, as in heaven, so upon the earth. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we also forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. So, this morning, I got up at around 5 in the morning, which is pretty typical for me. And at 5 in the morning, it is quite dark out. And I didn't want to wake anyone else in the house, so I kind of had to maneuver through the house in the dark, at least until I got downstairs. And I went outside with my dog, let him out into the yard, and it was pretty dark out there. And I couldn't see anything. And this got me thinking about spiritual darkness and the idea that we're in the spiritual dark when we lack truth, when we don't know what's right or what's wrong. And when you don't have truth, you make bad decisions. And it's harder to make plans for your life if you don't know what's true. This is true with more mundane facts. If you lack knowledge, you go through life like you're stumbling in the dark. And as I was thinking about this, and my dog was out in the yard, the sun started to come up on the horizon and the sky lightened and birds started to do their morning thing that they do. And I was just really enjoying the dawn. And since I was already thinking along these lines, it was pretty easy for me to see how the sun coming up is a lot like bringing the Lord's presence into our lives. The world around me didn't change. It was the same yard, same objects were all around me. But with the presence of the sun, I could see them. And I live in a pretty tame neighborhood, not a lot of wild animals or criminals skulking about. But still, when it's dark, you don't know. And then when the sun comes up, you do. And this got me thinking of worry, which is a topic I know is on a lot of people's minds. Because worry often comes down to not knowing and feeling a little bit out of control or feeling a little bit of fear for the future because you don't know what's going to happen, or maybe because you don't know currently what's going on. And in the conditions we've got these days, there's a lot of reasonable worry. Nobody really can say for certain how this is going to play out in detail. We have some general ideas. Don't know how long it's going to take before people that are being asked to stay in their homes can go out and start to lead more normal lives. We don't know at what point the economy is going to be able to get back on its feet, or really how long that's going to take. Don't know when your grocery store is going to get another shipment of hand sanitizer. I mean, there's a lot that we don't know right now. And we've recently entered into a phase of knowing less, or at least feeling like knowing less than we thought we knew just a couple weeks ago. And when I think about worry, one of the things that comes to mind is the physical sensations of it. So I want you to check yourself. Be mentally present in your body. Are your shoulders tight? Is your jaw clenched or are the muscles here hard? What about your hands? That tightness is how the body responds to worry. It's getting muscles ready to react. But the problem is the kind of things we're dealing with right now can't be solved by sort of caveman level muscle response. And meanwhile, it's exhausting. So first, I want to invite you to just breathe. Let your shoulders drop. Loosen your jaw. Open your hands. Now, that doesn't really get rid of worry, does it? But it helps tamp down the symptoms of worry. So going back to that image of dawn and thinking about worry brings my mind to the subject of peace. And I don't mean peace as in a lack of conflict between two parties, but rather inner peace, that peace that you get when you're free from worry. And I'm going to share with you a quote. This is from the book Secrets of Heaven, which is about peace and worry and the dawn. Here's what it says. This is talking about the symbolism of the morning time. Morning is a state of peace. Peace is like the dawn on the earth, which fills people's minds with overall delight. Peace has in it confidence in the Lord, that he directs all things and provides all things, and that he leads to a good end. When you believe these things about him, you are at peace, since you will fear nothing, and no anxiety about things to come will disturb you. How far you attain this state depends on how far you attain love to the Lord. Now, as I said, this is a quote that has given many people comfort for centuries. But it can also heighten the anxiety if you hear it a certain way. And I'm aware of that, and I want to talk about that for a minute. Because it can sound like this is saying, well, if I'm feeling worry or anxiety, if I'm not feeling at peace, then I must not be loving the Lord right. Well, don't think of it that way. Rather, look at it like this. You want to achieve peace. One way of achieving peace is to know what's going to happen, to see the future, to have control over everything so you can just decide, here's what's going to happen, and it's all going to be all right exactly the way I want it to be. And then you can be at peace because you're in charge. But the problem is you're not in charge. None of us really are. There's an illusion that we're in charge of our world and our environment around us that gets pretty strong sometimes. And then events like pandemics, stock market crashes, smaller things like little tragedies that we have at work and at home remind us that we're really not in charge and that there is a lot outside of not just our control, but even our knowledge. And it's at times like these when it is useful to turn our minds to the Lord in humility and to recognize that our expectation to know and control everything, it's not reasonable. And there really is only one being who really does know all, who really does have all power. And as long as we insist on being that person, we block out our ability to feel the presence of the Lord in our lives. So part of this is understanding that if you want to be at peace, if you want some freedom from worry, it starts with humility. It starts with an innocent desire to be led. Again, it says peace has in it confidence in the Lord. Confidence, that's another way of saying faith. Now, the thing is, faith is not about just believing an idea. Faith is about trust. Faith is trusting that the Lord is in charge, that even when bad things happen, he will bring good out of them, that in the long arc of your life, he is working for you, not against you, and he will take care of you. And the thing is, it's hard to have that kind of trust if you're not living as if it is true. In other words, you don't have to fully believe with all of your heart that it's all going to be okay. You just have to believe it enough, or want to believe it enough, that you live your life as if it is true. And by living your life as if the Lord is in charge, you will start to actually feel that. This means obeying his commandments, loving others, taking care of other people, being useful, avoiding greed and selfishness and hatred, working to make yourself a better, more loving, more wise person, cooperating with him in your life, and looking out for the ways that he's bringing good out of the things around you. By living that kind of life, by trying effectively, in biblical terms, to be righteous, you'll find that peace will slowly come. And it becomes easier to trust the Lord because you're behaving as if you love him, which in the end leads to you actually loving him. Another thing that you can do when you're struggling with this peace, a really powerful tool, is prayer. Now, I don't mean petitioning him for particular outcomes, but rather use prayer as a clearing of space in your mind, as a meditation of an acknowledgement humbly that you don't know everything, you don't control everything, and you really shouldn't. But the Lord is in charge, and he does know what's best, and he will lead you through this. And you pray for that trust. You can pray, Lord, I believe, help my unbelief. And just the act of setting aside even some moments in your day to acknowledging his place in your life will bring peace, even if it's just for a short while. And those little oases of peace will grow over time. We're going to get through this. I can't tell you exactly how or when and what it will look like, and nobody can. Not the head of the CDC, not the president of the United States, not the World Health Organization, not any newspaper or television show or YouTube video. Nobody knows exactly what's going to happen. But we can trust that whatever happens, good will come from it. And when it becomes hard to trust that, we have prayer. So I want to finish with a reading from the prophet Isaiah. He said in chapter 32, verses 17 and 18, "And the effect of righteousness will be peace, and the result of righteousness, quietness and trust forever. My people will abide in a peaceful habitation, in secure dwellings, and in quiet resting places." I hope that you have a peaceful day today. If you want to make certain that you don't miss future morning devotionals that different new church ministers will be offering on this channel, you can subscribe to the channel. There should be a button up to the top right of the page if you're watching on YouTube. And then right next to that, there's a bell symbol. If you click on that, it'll give you a little menu. If you click there, you can set it so that whenever a new video like this is posted, you'll get an alert so you don't miss any of them. I hope this has been useful to you. And again, as I said, I hope you have a peaceful day. Goodbye.